this is Maria. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I will be talking to you about fine motor skills, gross motor skills development of the whole child at about the age of 2 to 2.5, what to expect, what is normal, and what are some signs you might want to pay more attention to. If you're new to my channel, I have two children. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Both my kids were preemies, born at 35 weeks. So my journey of motherhood started with an apnea monitor and leaving my child in the NICU for quite a few days. So I've been always a very involved parent and always watched all of the milestones. I also work for a Montessori school and I'm really exposed to all kinds of ages of children and what you can expect. So now let's get to it, 2-year-old development. In the first 3 years of life, kids grow and develop so much. They go from this helpless little blobby to an independent little creature that has its thoughts, preferences, and is quite capable of doing a lot of things for themselves. A few of the things that you can expect from the 2-year-old in the department of speech is this huge speech explosion. The child will go not only from repeating and mimicking you to putting together sentences and requests. Some children might be a little bit late to that boat, but you still could expect that the child is able to get their needs met. So the speech has actually two components to it. There is a receptive and there is expressive. Expressive component is how much they are saying, and receptive is how much they're processing from you. So your child should be able to answer simple questions. For example, where is the dog? And they are able either to point it to you or to tell you in the room or there. So any of those answers would be acceptable. They also should be able to answer yes or no questions. Would you like a drink? Yes, no. They are capable of understanding up and down, and they are able to follow simple directions. For example, go bring me the ball, or can you give me your ball? If your 2-year-old is not following any commands, does not vocalize their play, mimic, and does not understand simple commands, or is not able to get their needs met, it's a good idea to get them evaluated for speech. I probably will harp on in this video a lot is that early intervention is key. A lot of people will tell you, oh, their time will come, so-and-so didn't talk, and then at 3 they started talking in full sentences. But here is something. Toddlers get really frustrated if they're not able to deliver a message to you, if they're not understanding you. So it actually can create a more difficult language and tantrum situation in your household if they're not able to communicate. Another thing, if your child does not need any kind of help, you will get the evaluation, you will just put your fears to rest. Getting help is actually the best thing you can do. A lot of the 2-year-olds become much more social and are ready to be in their group setting with other children. So it's a good time to start kindergarten, preschool, any kind of daycare that you can. Maybe if you're not doing it full-time, just drop your child off for a few hours a day or a few times a week, because it's a good time for them to start exploring and understanding that they can bond with other people. There are other people that can take care of them, and it's time for them to form friendships. At that age, children don't play together necessarily yet, but they start playing parallel play and also when they are working towards the same goal as they are playing. For example, throwing rocks in the same bush or putting the sand in the same bucket. They start learning and experiences this mutual cooperative play. It is also the age where imagination picks up, so a lot of the games and a lot of the things that your toddler will be doing will be very imaginative, and it's not just going to be the car does beep beep and things like that. They might be doing the tea parties with their dolls and toys. They might start playing more elaborate scenes with the cars. For example, baby Justin now likes to build garages, and the cars go in a certain way, and then they have a conversation. Sometimes they fight, sometimes they laugh. So it's this explosion of imagination that starts happening. Outside of imagination, your toddler will also know the meaning of regular household items. They will know that with the toothbrush, you start brushing your teeth. They're going to try to brush their own hair with a brush, put on their shoes. Some toddlers go into complete independence. I have a very prime example at my household. The baby Justin is extremely independent. Everything that he does not want any help. Even when he goes to the toilet, he's 2 years old, he is potty trained. He insists on taking off his pants, putting himself on the toilet. So independence is, and then wiping his own bottoms. The independent stage or in toddler development can pose some challenges, but I always try to remind myself that, you know, it is positive. He is very confident, he's independent. I want to nurture that. So finding the balance between giving them the independence and setting the limits, it might be one of the things that you have to think. Another part of the social emotional development and is also understanding who am I, who are you. So one of the things that picks up is mine. And I know we try to teach our children to share, but for toddlers, it's not developmentally appropriate to share. You will have to come up with more creative ways because they aren't able to understand yet, and they are also growing into who they are, and they want to understand this is mine, this is my body, these are my toys, this is my turn. Things of this kind. So now moving on to fine motor skills and gross motor skills. I will start with gross motor skills. At that age, the child is running and obviously walking, going up the stairs. They are able to jump with 2 feet up, and one of the other milestones is being able to catch. One of the things that you might want to watch out for your child, that they at least try to bring their hands together to catch a ball. It's actually a coordination. They also need to be able to cross the midline. Crossing the midline is a very simple thing to check with your child. Is just sit them at the table and draw a cross on one side, cross on the other side, and see if they're able to do the line. Crossing the midline is a very important skill for toddlers. It actually affects many parts of brain development. At that age, children also start preferring one hand over the other, where before they could, you know, interchangeably use it. At this point, you should be able to understand if your child is a righty or a lefty. Your child should be able to balance on one leg for at least 3 seconds. So doing something like a kid yoga at home could be great. They typically love it. It actually helps them to imitate physically as well. If you, by the way, if you have a child that has difficulty with speech imitations, doing the physical imitations with them will help their speech develop as well. Child's brain is an amazing thing. Our brain is an amazing thing. It can rewire itself in so many ways. So the more things that you do developing their gross motor skills, fine motor skills, balance, you will see the impact of that in their confidence and also their ability to learn at school. 2-year-olds are also able to scoot independently and start pedaling the tricycle. Some of the most fun milestones: kick the ball, throw the ball. And when it comes to fine motor skills, your child should be assisting you in getting themselves dressed. If not, getting certain things on by themselves, things like shoes, they should be at least sliding their feet in. Between the ages of 2 and 3, when your child goes from a toddler to a preschool, there's so many fine motor skills that start blossoming and developing. I would say, in my opinion, 2 to 3 in fine motor development is what it is 1 to 2 in gross motor development, when your child goes from like crawling to walking and running and jumping. Here the same happens with fine motor skills. They're going from this grasp to tripod grasp, and then by actually 3, a lot of children will be able to hold a pen and a pencil in a way that they can imitate the letters, and a lot of children will be able to do it. But to get to that point, there are certain things that you might want to do to help them. So things like beadwork is extremely important because your child is handling small objects in your hand. They also have a hand-eye coordination. Now, I had 2 examples. My daughter loved doing it, so I had no problem in interesting her in doing the beadwork. With my son, he's just not into making bracelets and necklaces, and he's not really into drawing, so I have to come up with more creative ways on how I get him engaged in those fine motor skills activities. And I actually will be doing a separate video on the materials that I use for him, what he's into. I film those every few months, so it's coming soon. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to check it out. I actually also would like to use this video and ask you guys, I would like to film a parenting Q&A, so leave the questions in the comments below, and I hope I get some good stuff that I can share with you. You can answer me any question. It can be controversial parenting questions, wherever it is, ask away. Well, so some of the red flags in fine motor skills development is if your child is still grasping this way at the age of 2, they should be able to hold the pencils Some of the things to practice at home outside of the beadwork is cutting with scissors. It's a really good preschool skill. And at first, your toddler is going to try to cut with both hands. You need to help them do it with one hand, stabilize their wrist. I would say by about between 3.5, your child will be able to cut independently without their wrist being stabilized. It's important to start early on that one. Some of the other things to do is also give them as many small objects to handle as possible. A lot of pouring, a lot of transfer work. It could be with a spoon. Again, you know, I have a Montessori background, so I do suggest doing just like 2 plates with beads, and you can use a utensil to scoop it in and out. A lot of younger children love it. Using the thorns helps a lot. There is lots of toys that have thorns, like the beads that I've shared in many of my videos, or you could just purchase the thorns and they can take the beads or take any kind of objects. When it comes to drawing, most 2-year-olds will be doing spirals of this kind, but one of the things that you might want to focus with your child is actually doing a circle. Somewhere between 2.5 and 3, they should be able to imitate a circle. Doing a cross line as well, very important. It's crossing the midline. So if anybody's harping on your child not being able to do that, that is why. And the reason why you want to do the circle, because learning the circle actually helps you learn the formation of so many letters, and you need to make sure that your child always starts at the top when they're drawing it, because every single letter they're going to be writing in preschool will most likely start that way. A lot of 2-year-olds will be knowing their ABCs if they've been exposed to the sun and be able to see it. If they not know it, it's not them knowing the letters that counts, it's them just being able to repeat it. They will also be able to line count to about 10. Line counting is just the repetition counting. Some of them will be able to actually count the objects, and the difference is line counting is just the memorization of the numbers, what goes after what, and then the actual counting is being able to point and say 1. At the age of 2, they also should know some of the colors. Typically they say about 3 colors is a good number, something that they practice with. So I have to say something on this one as well. Again, you know, every child will meet their milestones differently. They will have different interests. My son honestly is kind of ahead in everything, and he's been ever since he was born. He's just very active and really willing to absorb everything. But his colors, he just has no interest in doing those. So I had to get creative with him. So we are at about, I would say, 4 colors now, but sometimes he gets them mixed up. Where my daughter actually was really into colors, and she always loved drawing, and she loved holding her pencil, so she got lots of practice that way. So she was quite ahead with her colors. Now the numbers are still a challenge for her. So every child will be a little bit different. And again, this video is just to give you a baseline. And one of the things I want to tell you, if you're watching this video and you're like, well, my child is not doing this, is there something wrong with them? Always ask your doctor. And another thing, if you have a mommy gut that tells you that you need help, go get help. I am so pushing it, because if there is something going on, you will get your child a head start. Why would you wait till they go to school and then you realize that your child has problem with letter formations or is not able to put the numbers in the correct sequence? Get them evaluated earlier rather than later, and give them a head start. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and leave your questions for my parenting Q&A, please. I would love to film that one. It's kind of interesting for me too. If you love this video, make sure to give me a like and subscribe to my channel for more content of this kind.